I got tired of living my life like I was in a prison cell.
Being vulnerable and not hiding your past, expose your past so you can help other people move on with their lives.
Now I need to focus on getting some help to suppress that pain. If you don't use those corrective action, it starts showing up in your life through aggression. You must acknowledge that. You must be honest with yourself. Now I need to focus on getting some help to suppress that pain.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Asking Experts podcast. Today, I'm excited to welcome Lawyer Johnson. He is an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and trauma advocate. His powerful story from childhood abuse to prison transformation has truly inspired thousands. Lawyer Johnson is the author of Pain is My Identity, challenges the belief silence is strength. Lawyer Johnson encourages men to confront pain whilst embracing their personal power. Lawyer Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. So I want to start your first question. What what's the hidden truth or what's the hardest truth about pain that silence has kept hidden for so long?
Silence. Repeat that question again because I don't want to answer it wrong. It's a
Right,
lot. So
right. So what's the hardest part? What's the hardest truth about pain that silence has kept hidden for so long?
that it can show up. It can show up anywhere.
Hmm.
That's the main truth about pain. When it's silence, and instead of you using a corrective action of going to someone that can help you sort out the pain that you experience within yourself, if you don't use those corrective action, it starts showing up in your life through aggression. So that's like the hidden myth behind the pain when it's silence. If you don't talk to someone about it and
Hmm.
try to get through it, it always shows up throughout your life. It always does.
Hmm. Exactly. And I guess oftentimes, most people do shove it just under the carpet. Oh, we don't
Hmm.
want to talk about it. But that is, in your experience, it's not the best way if it just keeps shoving your emotions
Hmm.
under the carpet because it doesn't get resolved. It's like putting a band-aid, but you're
Yes,
not
yes,
going to the root of the cause. So can you
yes.
share with us what are the corrective actions that you talk about? What can people do? What can our listeners, what are the steps they need to do? What are the corrective actions?
One of the corrections that you must do, you must be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be honest with yourself that you have a mental health issue because when you experience something as traumatic that I have experienced, because my pain comes from being sexually abused at 7 years old. So the first thing you have to recognize is that that pain and that trauma exists, right? You must acknowledge that. And I think that once you acknowledge that, you have a mental health issue that was caused from something traumatic in your life and you identify that, then you must say, okay, how can I work on that? Because you can't put a band-aid on it. Like we can sit there and read a book. Yes, we can read a book and put a band-aid on it and think that book is going to actually suppress that pain. But the
Mm-hmm.
only way you're going to relieve that pain is you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be like, listen, whatever happened to me, it wasn't my fault. But now that I identify what happened to me and all the things that are spilling out because of this pain, now I need to um, focus on getting some help to suppress that pain and walk me through it. And that's one of the things that I had to do. I had to recognize that, listen, all the things that you have been experienced in your life comes from that pain. And then I had to identify that how I got to that point of receiving that pain, it wasn't my fault. But now that I'm an adult and I recognize those issues, now it's time for me to correct them by accepting accountability and working on them. And by me working on them is like not running from the pain anymore, being like I'm going to face it head on. I know what the problem is. I'm going to go get some help, and then I have to find certain tools to kind of offset those moments that that pain start gushing out and being directed in other avenues. And one of those things that I do is I help you. Um, I'm always staying active through my companies. Um, me creating a support system that helps me out through my pain instead of putting a band-aid on it, going to them when I feel down because oftentimes when that pain gets to you, you're gonna feel down all the time, or you'll start acting out in ways that's not normal to you or your family. You just have to find that support system and kind of navigate that way to kind of
Mhm.
resolve the pain that you're going through in your life.
100%, pain of any kind, whether you're going through a divorce, pain is
Yes,
always going to be there, And I
yes,
remember, I just want to share with you as well, the pain of going through a divorce. I mean, I've been divorced now for 12 years, but initially that pain, you know, it stayed with me. But how did I overcome? I had to
mhm,
do the internal work. And we got to do that internal work, because otherwise we will be the same, we'll be stuck in that same situation. And there was a book I remember that helped to heal my pain. It was Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And I thought, wow, what an amazing title. But it
yeah,
truly is the essence of if your feelings are buried, like we talked about, if you shove it under the carpet and you don't talk about it, you don't
mhm,
get help, like you said, then how are you going to heal the pain?
yeah. And that's the main thing you have to do because the healing process is a continuous process. Like
It's
you are, like
continuous, yeah.
it continues, and you have to stop running. I tell people that right now. Stop running. You're not by yourself. Just be courageous because whenever you become vulnerable, it kind of free you from that pain mentally, not emotionally, but mentally. Like once you be like, I know what it is. I'm not scared anymore. I accept accountability. This is what I'm going to do. Then it becomes easy. It's like you becoming an open book. You don't have anything to hide from anyone. You can open the book and be like, all right, here's all the details, but I'm not gonna run from my problems anymore. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is saying that, I am not going to be a closed box anymore. I'm going to open a
Right.
box and I'm going to let people look into that box and see everything that I have in my box. And the moment that I did that, it freed me. Like I went on, I did mine through social media. I told everybody what happened to me, all the pain that I have been suffering since I was 7 years old, because I got tired of living my life like I was in a prison cell for something that was not my fault. I was just a victim of it, and I suffer um, a lot from dealing with it, but I was like, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. A person just took advantage of me. I was a little kid. I couldn't defend myself, but now I can defend myself. I don't want to carry this burden alone anymore. I want to be free from it. This is one of the things I've been hiding for many years, and I don't want to hide anymore. And I just let it go on social media, and so many people gravitated towards it. There was so many people that was like, "Lawyer, thank you for sharing that information. I have gone through the same thing, and one of my family members done this to me, and it made me feel real bad. But the biggest thing I got out of the whole thing of me sharing my life on social media is that I didn't have to hide anymore.
Mhm.
I didn't have any more secrets, so." whatever a person says about me, it really doesn't matter because I don't have to lie anymore.
Absolutely, 100%. How did facing your darkest moments let you free rather than break you? I mean, that's gotta be one of the hardest parts for anybody, I can just imagine. But how did those darker moments free you rather than break you up? And I'm sure it could be for many people.
Um, I think
Was it hard at first or
it was hard because you question yourself. You question yourself a lot because you live in that space of I wonder what people are going to say about me, right? So that's the challenge I had. I wonder what people are going to say about me. The friends that I have acquired throughout the years that have become some of my good friends. When I had to expose that I was incarcerated at one time, and I had to expose all the things that I have done as a child into my teenage years, into my adult years, they didn't know that part of me. So it was kind of scary,
Mhm.
but I had to let it go. So that was the darkest moment. That was that darkest moment that I was living in of judgment. I was living in that dark moment of judgment of people judging me. But then I started realizing that it's not about them, it's about me. And me releasing my message can help people. So I just let it go.
exactly, just let it go? I mean, people are going to judge, but as long
Hmm.
as, we are just brave enough to, just to keep on going and just showing people as to what, we have the strength, we have the courage to pull through.
Yeah.
Lawyer, what's the one myth about trauma you're determined to destroy forever?
Say that one more time.
Yes. What's the one myth about trauma you want to destroy forever?
The one myth that is about trauma, that people look at vulnerability as a weakness when you're dealing with your trauma. Like it's taboo to tell somebody that
Have a mental issue. People that's walking around you every day, they have some kind of mental issue. And I
Mhm.
think that people, they stereotype you. When you come out and tell somebody like this is what happened to me, they look at you in a different way, and we need to kind of change the narrative around vulnerability because people look at vulnerability as a weakness, but if you look at it, it's one of the highest forms of strength. And we
Mhm.
need to change the cultural and the social narrative that's attached to it, especially when it comes to men. Like me exposing to the world that I was sexually abused as a child, people tend to look at me as I'm weak. Like, why would you a man? Why would you ever step up to the table and say something like that when you're supposed to be a strong man? So they look at that vulnerability as a weakness. But me being courageous and saying these things can help other people that's behind me or before me. So that's the thing that I want to change. I want to change um, the narrative around people looking at vulnerability as a weakness and change it to people should look at vulnerability as a strength and that we need to be viewed as that a person that came out and said that this happened to him instead of people just ridiculing him and throwing rocks at him because he or she took the time out to expose some part of their life that was very hard for them to do. And that's what I want to change the culture narrative that surround vulnerability.
Hmm. Exactly. Especially when it comes to men, men, like you said, 100% men I've thought, they're strong. They've got to be strong. But and I've got to commend you, a lawyer, is you came out and you spoke the truth. You spoke, and that's what people need to do, is to speak your truth. Speak as to what is going on. Because no longer can we change. If we want to change, you have to be truthful to yourself. And I totally agree with what you said. You've got to speak the truth. You've got to be honest as to what has
Yeah,
happened. And that's the only way we can change.
yeah. And I feel sorry for so many women and men out there that have to confront and expose their life about things that happen to them very traumatic because society often punish the adult for something that happened to them as a child. You have to look at it in these terms. Like a child, they couldn't defend themselves,
Hmm.
but the adult is to the point where they can defend themselves. And it's like society is still punishing the adult for something that happened to him as a child. And it's kind of like bizarre. Like I don't know how to make that separation. Like they still he's an adult, but this happened to him as a child, but you still punish the man. And I think it's very wrong because when you punish the adult, you're still punishing the child that couldn't defend himself at the time or couldn't defend herself at the time, but he's an adult. So it's clearly something wrong within those lines that has to be changed.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, change, hopefully that change, we can slowly start to change. Lloyd Johnson, how has vulnerability transformed your personal and professional life?
Mm. It transformed my professional life because people are not used to me um they're not used to any man coming out and saying, "Oh, I was sexually abused as a child." They're not used to that, and it changed my life because now it has started those conversations with adults that has gone through the same thing that I have gone through. Now they start to ask me questions of how do I deal with my pain. So on a professional level, that helped me a lot. As far as a personal level, I think that it changed my identity as a person. I no longer walk around with that burden on my back. I walk around with my chest stuck out now because I don't have anything else to hide. So far as personally, it has helped me to it has changed my identity to stand up, speak out, not go backwards, but push forward and not have anything to hide. That has changed me a lot personally.
That's beautiful. What advice would you give to any man who feels trapped by the past but cannot seek help? What would you say? Or what steps would you encourage them to do?
Trapped in the past.
Yeah, they want to move forward, but they feel they are trapped by their past. They can't get over it. So, what advice would you give?
I think they have to first of all they have to have some good friends. They need some good friends that are good listeners that can encourage them
Hmm.
to stop focusing on the past because the past is hindering you for your future. They have to you have to have a great support system. I mean, family wise, and you can
Hmm.
and I think another way to kind of ease them out of them being trapped in the past is become a part of some of these organizations out here that deals with mental health. Like I'm a part of NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and this is an amazing organization. They have so many resources, and the beauty of being a part of an organization like that is that you meet so many wonderful people that have gone through the same thing that you have gone through or something similar to it. And you can always pick up the phone and ask them a question about anything, and it can always give you the resources to kind of find out what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
my advice to the individuals that they feel trapped in their past and they don't want to move into the future of hope is connect yourself with a good support system, family and friends, and
Hmm.
then gradually, step by step, let your past be released through organizations that need individuals like you that can present and tell your story so you can help other people. Because once you start helping other people from your experience, that's going
Yeah.
to give you a level of confidence within yourself to
Right.
continue to move forward. But everybody is structured differently, far as like the mental process, emotional process. So what works for me may not work for another individual. You know, maybe they need to take baby steps, but if you continue to take those baby steps, then eventually you'll just be like, forget it. I'm just going to tell my whole story. I'm going to stop, confining myself in the past and move on to the future with helping people. So that'll be my advice is um, create your support system through your family and friends, people that's going to actually listen to you. Become a part of some of these organizations out here, and they have a lot of amazing organizations out here where you can speak and be a presenter and tell people about your life story, so you can help individuals that are in need of your help.
Exactly. Helping others will always heal our pain.
Hmm.
Exactly. How do you break free from the chaos of trauma that society wants us to carry? So, can you share that with us? How do we break through the chaos of trauma and those dark moments that we're trying to heal, we're trying to escape, but society unfortunately wants us to be trapped, whether in the past. So what would you say, and how should our listeners deal with?
I don't think that I think like when you saying I have gone through a divorce and it was very painful of me, not having access to my children like I wanted to have access to them, and that kind of like bothered me mentally, you know. But the thing I can tell people like you're never going to be able to get through your trauma. It doesn't work like that. It's something that lives within us 24/7. Um, and you have to find something to kind of combat what society's trying to keep you stuck in, is the trauma. And one of the things that I do is you have to find something to love. You have to find something to love. It can be the love of your work because when you focus on the love of your work, I don't care if it's helping people. Like I'm an electrician and a contractor, so most times you can see me doing something with my hands. So that kind of offset my pain from me not thinking about all the things I have going through in my life that's painful.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people probably don't like pets, but pets are like one of the biggest things that you can get into your life that you can love that will kind of offset that pain that you're going through. Like I have five dogs, and each one of the five dogs have different personalities, so I got to kind of
Wow.
communicate with
Five
them.
dogs.
Yeah, I have five dogs, so I got to
Keeps
kind
you
of
busy.
communicate with them. Yeah, so I got to communicate with them in a different way. All of them have different personalities, but by them being in my life, they can feel when I have my down moments, so they love on me, and
Yes.
I love back on them.
Hmm.
I know I have to get up, every morning to feed them. I need to take them on a walk. I need to, take them out so they can go use the bathroom. I got to go cook their food. I got to go feed them. I have to do all these different things, but if you look at all the things I'm doing, it's keeping my mind occupied so I don't have time to think about the trauma. And
Yes.
and that's the biggest thing that people need to focus on is your trauma. is going to be 100% of your circle every day, right? And
Yeah.
your job is to see what can you put in that circle that's going to clear the majority of the 100% out. And that 100% could be 25% could be you getting up in the morning, walking your dogs, feeding your dogs, talking to your dogs. The other 25% could be with your wife and your kids. The other 25% or 10% can be, pushed in other areas. Let me go out here and water these plants. You have to find certain things to offset your pain throughout the day. Like I try to walk, I try to ride my bike at times, I try to go to the gym. But if I go to the gym for an hour, 20 minutes a day, that's an hour and twenty minutes that I don't have to focus on my trauma because I'm so focused on working out. If I'm on my bike for an hour a day, that's an hour of me not having to stay focused on the trauma. You have to find something to offset that time and space from you thinking about the trauma. Because most people they just sit down, and that's when the trauma start piling up on them because they're not rationing out their space in their mind for something else. And when you start sitting down, that's the only thing you're going to start thinking about the trauma. Even when you're not thinking about the trauma, your body is acting in a certain way that the trauma has attacked your body. It just starts to like attack your body in that way. So you have to kind of like offset it. Like when you're reading the book, you're not really thinking about the trauma. You have to find something to offset that trauma. That's all I want to say.
Exactly. Or just have an outlet so we
Yeah.
forget about the trauma. What's
Hmm.
the scar? What is the scar, lawyer, that no one sees the scar of our trauma, but however that scar lies deep. What would you say is the scar? And how do we overcome? We can't see the scar, but it is deep inside. And what should we do? How do we accept the fact that we have this scar internally is deep?
The scar that no one can see.
Yeah. What's the scar that no one sees, but it's there?
Oh, the scar that no one sees is there.
Hmm.
I think that scar hurt. I'm gonna change that. The scar of betrayal. That's the scar that people can't see, and that betrayal scar is like, yeah. I think that's what me like the scar that no one can see within me is the scar of betrayal because the individual that abused me when I was a child, he was my next door neighbor.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's the scar of betrayal. That's the scar that you can never see coming. You can never
Hmm.
see that scar coming. And once it attacks you, it'll never go away. It'll always sit deep within your wound, that scar of betrayal, because that's something that you can never come back from. Because when you got to look at it, if you trust somebody with your life. It's
Hmm.
just like a family or friend that you have been trusting them all your life and you've been telling them all this information. They know everything about you. Then one day they betray you. That's a scar that people can't see that hurts the most. You can't. It's like um somebody lie on you. Yeah, that's different. You'd be like, okay, I don't have to deal with you no more. But that scar betrayal when you put so much into a person, far as trust, and then one day they betray you. Ooh, that's a hard. It's a deep scar that you'll never see. That hurts the most is that scar of betrayal.
Hmm. I can totally agree. Betrayal and also the trust. I mean, they go hand in hand. The trust, I can totally agree with that. Yeah, betrayal, how do you even get over such a thing?
Okay. And how do
You
you how do you prepare for it though?
How do you prepare for
That's
yes
the
and
part.
that
How
too?
you prepare for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And especially when you mentioned, you confide in the individuals, and yet they go ahead and whether it's behind your back or they betray you. And that's something that we need to, I know it's very easy, it's not easy to get over, but I think it takes time. It takes time to get over such an incident of betrayal.
And it shows up throughout your life because you know that you can because of the hurt of betrayal, you prejudge everyone that comes into your life, and they probably don't
True.
even deserve it, but you prejudging them. Like I'm always prejudging people. Like anything that resemble what happened to me at 7 years old, I'm already prejudging people before they even get to me because that portrayal, it has hurt. The wounds are so deep that
Hmm.
people can't even see it, but my mind recognizes it. So it's kind of hard to give someone an honest um shake in life when it
Hmm.
comes to you because that betrayal, that hurt of that betrayal, just it cuts so deep that you always psychoanalyze people before they even get a fair chance to talk to you. You're already judging them. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You're doing the self-analysis prior. Lawyer, your final question. And this has been such a powerful conversation. I thoroughly have enjoyed, and I really want to acknowledge you, first of all, Lawyer Johnson, with the trauma you had gone through at the age of 7. It could not have been easy for anybody, but I want to
Mhm.
commend you. I want to
Thank you.
commend you for the strength that you show today. And thank you for sharing your story and your journey. Your final question. How did you learn to overcome the demons as you had gone through the traumatic incidents? How does one, how did you learn and how can you share with us what are the steps people need to take to confront the demons and to realize there is more to life than they thought so?
How do I confront the
So it's
demon?
a two-step question. First of all, how did you learn to overcome the demons that we're facing as going through that traumatic time? And then the second part, what steps can our listeners take to also overcome their lives, traumatic life?
I just kept pushing through. Like I sometimes I'm amazed that I even got through. I got this far. I'm just being honest. Like I think that no matter what you are facing, you have to understand if you believe in God, that God is not going to place no burden on you that you cannot bear. I just know from my journey in life, I just never quit. I refuse to let anything or anyone stop me from getting to what I wanted to get to in my life. I just had a vision. Um, that's how I got through my pain. I just know when I went through all that pain and suffering at 7 years old, but also me growing up in poverty, that just gave me an extra boost in life that I just didn't want to suffer. I didn't want to suffer or from food. I didn't want to suffer from not having clothes. I didn't want to suffer from like having shelter. So that just gave me an extra push in life. Um, as far as how I got through all of that is that you have to have faith. Like I know when I got incarcerated, while I was mentioning to you, I couldn't run anymore. Like I got to a point in my life, I was just stuck. I was confined in a prison. I couldn't run away from my pain anymore. Because that's what I would do. I would always run from my pain. If I felt a certain way, um, about a certain thing, then my aggression showed up, and when I got to jail, I couldn't do that anymore. I had to take advantage of everything that the system had to offer me. So when I got in there, to make a long story short, I got myself educated. I got my electrical wiring certificate. I embraced, God while I was in there. And I think by me embracing God, that gave me a moral compass of things that I couldn't do wrong because I knew that he would punish me for doing those wrong things. So that kind of put me on the straight path. Like, you can't associate with these people anymore. You can't do that anymore. You can't steal from people because you know God is going to look down on you. He's going to punish you. So that kind of gave me the straight path to go down and have like some kind of morals and integrity far as the path I need to go down far as my vision go. So that's what helped me through that. And I think once I gained faith um um and I gained all those certificates while I was incarcerated. That kind of put me on that journey of living my life because I had that structure now. I had that structure through faith. I had that structure through belief. And I was like, I wanted to become, I wanted to become bigger than everything that I have seen growing up. I didn't want to be, I don't want to use the word bum, but I just didn't want to be a bum on the corner. I didn't want to be no drug addict. I didn't want to be any of those things, but me embracing faith and me getting all these certificates while I was locked up. I said, this is what I want to be. And I had to have faith in what I wanted to be. And then the doors started opening up for me. When I came home, I had a couple of bumps in the road. I didn't get the jobs that I wanted to, but through my faith and my commitment, I started working for a Fortune 500 company. And the owners of the company, they took a liking to me and they gave me breaks. And I got to a point where whereas I wanted to tell the owner about all the things I have gone through in my life. And he said, I don't want to hear that crap. Only thing I want to hear is that you show up every day and you give 100%. And that's what I did. And I stayed with that company for 18 years. I retired from that company. All the things they sent me to school for. I took all those certificates, and I bought it up into a contractor company where I do, new home builds, remodels, full home remodels, kitchen remodels. And then they also sent me to school. They sent me to school to enhance what I already knew about electrical wiring. So then I said, okay, since I have the contractor license, let me go get my electrical wiring certificate, not electrical wiring certificate. Let me get my electrical wiring contractor license as well. So now I have a contractor license, do residential and commercial. So now I have two companies working side by side with each other. So the first step that I would tell people is to stop running. I mean, if you have a faith, no matter what faith you're a part of, cling to that to give you structure, give you a moral compass, and it'll make you hold yourself accountable for the things that you do. You know right from wrong. If you do something wrong, God gonna punish it for you. You gotta have faith in what you're trying to get to, and you'll be all right. If I can listen, if I can go through all those steps and get to where I'm at, you can do the same thing. But it all boils down to holding yourself accountable for your actions, being focused on, I mean, be very focused and intentional on what you're trying to achieve in life, and just stay to your faith, and everything else will open up for you.
Amazing. Amen. So powerful. Thank you so much, Lloyd
You're welcome.
Johnson. Where can people where can people find you and how can we support you best?
You can support me if you want to buy my book, My Pain is My Identity. It's on
Yes.
all platforms. It's on audio books. You can get it on Google Play, Audible. You can get my ebook on Amazon. You can get it on so many different Barnes and Nobles. It's all over the place. And if you want to contact me through my website, you can go to LawyerJohnsonMotivationalWings.com. You can purchase books. You can purchase merchandise. If you want me to sign an autograph book for you, I can sign an autograph book for you and send it off. And also just catch me on my social media pages. I'm on TikTok, Lawyer Johnson Official. I always posted videos to inspire people, when it comes to their mental health, or when it comes to being successful as a business owner, being committed to your faith. I post videos up there as well. And just, stay tuned. I'm right now. This is the beginning of the year, and I have already been selected to do two conferences this year as a
Amazing.
speaker.
Wow.
So, I'm really, happy about that. I'm supposed to be doing a criminal justice mental health conference
Wow.
in Texas, October 7th through the 8th. And then I have another conference that's coming up. It's called the Child Abuse Conference. It's coming up in July. I'll be also doing that. I'll be doing a workshop for that. So, only thing I say is, God is good. Believe in yourself. You can change. You can't continue to do the same thing over and over and think you're going to get the
Mhm.
same results. You have to try something different. And
Mhm.
that different is leaving your past behind you and tapping into the new you, being vulnerable and not hiding your past. Expose your past so you can help other people move on with their lives.
Absolutely. And we talked about change. You know, what a change? Change needs to happen right now.
Yeah,
And, internally it's got to change.
yeah, it
Thank
does.
you. Thank you, Lloyd Johnson. And thank you
Thank
to
you for
each and
having me
every
on.
one for tuning in today, for listening to Lloyd Johnson's powerful story of transformation and healing. His story reminds us facing the path of courage and transformation is the right path to owning our true power. If you've enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your family and your network. Until next time, keep being inspired, and your story is your power. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you, Lloyd Johnson. That was amazing.
Thank you. You're welcome.